Albany,
Here.
Berkeley, Dublin,
Here.
Emeryville,
Here.
Fremont, Hayward,
Here.
Livermore, Oakland, Piedmont, San Leandro, Union City,
Here.
Community Advisory Committee, here, Alameda County.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Ms. Duce-Bernacci, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so I guess at this point, under paragraph 1, section 54956, we will be going into closed session to discuss PG&E Corporation and Pacific Gas and Electric Company debtors bankruptcy case 19-30088-DM, United States Bankruptcy Court, Northern California District. So with that, we will be going into closed session.
I can leave my
I'm addicted, so
Hi, how are you?
set. Hey. Oh no, I just.
Okay. Okay, is this yours? This is yours? Oh, this is mine.
That was kind of anticlimactic. Can we at least give her a clap? Careful what you ask for. Are we on the air yet, Madam Clerk? We're going? Okay. All right, Ender, anything to report out of closed session?
Yes, good evening, Chair and members of the board. The report out of closed session is that the board provided direction to legal counsel and staff.
Thank you. This is kind of a weird agenda. Can we, I'm going to do the, okay. General counsel report on, we did that. Public comment, please. Anybody wish to speak on items that's not on today's agenda? Stephanie? Okay. Thought we had a problem. Okay, consent calendar, items 6 through 9. Anybody want to pull anything? Anybody wish to move all 4? Is there a second? We have a motion by Mandel, seconded by Rude. On the consent calendar, any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Thank you. Item 10, CEO report.
Okay, so Annie, please give our monthly marketing update.
Do it. One of these days I'm going to learn how to use this thing. Okay, there we go. Good evening, everyone. So our standard reporting here on EBCE enrollment numbers. Oops. Stephanie, is that you or me? I broke it. Apologies. Okay, that sounded like you're fast. Okay. Thank you. All right, so this is now what has become our standard reporting. So it is the opt-out numbers both by jurisdiction as well as the product. Across the county, we are currently at about 3% opt-out rate, which is, I think, beyond our expectations. Most of our numbers had estimated very conservatively a 10% opt-out, and that is also in line with what we've seen from other more recent CCAs coming onto the market. Our residential opt-outs are trending down, as are our commercial opt-outs, which is as expected. We do have our NEM or solar enrollment coming up next month. So we've broken the solar enrollment into 5 phases based on the anniversary date or the true-up date that PG&E assigns to new solar customers when they interconnect. Phase 1 is roughly about 10,000 customers, and those will be enrolled throughout the month of April. We have set up our back-end operations to allow solar customers who will enroll throughout the year to opt out early if they wish to do so. This was based on some customer feedback that we received. So because of that, I've presented here the opt-out rates within the NEM population, both for just those within the first phase, but also as a percentage of the entire phased-in approach for solar customers because they do have this ability to opt out early. We have learned from other CCAs that typically the solar population, or those customers that have solar, do tend to opt out at a higher rate than the rest of the population. And so what we're seeing here, again, is not unusual to what other CCAs have seen. In account services, I reported last month that there was an error on the PG&E enrollment of some of the last customers to be enrolled in our residential phase. That has since been fixed, so we have now correctly billed and received revenue from those 50,000 customers. We are again preparing for the first enrollment of our solar customers in April. We're hosting NEM webinar. NEM, is Net Energy Metering or Solar. We hosted a commercial version yesterday, a residential one today, which had amazing response. We sent out emails to those roughly 10,000 people who were in phase 1, and we had something like a 35% open rate of that email. We had about 200 people register for the webinar, and that happened today. Since I produced these slides, there's been a change, so we're doing a third webinar to solar installers. That's going to be on the 26th, not tomorrow. We're running that with CalSSA, which is the California Solar and Storage Association, formerly CalSIA, for those that have been in solar. And so they are the Industry Association of Solar Installers, and they're going to advertise this to their network of installers that serve Alameda County, and therefore contractors can then educate customers about the solar policies that ABCE supports. And then, of course, we continue to do our ongoing new customer notifications. We're still waiting to see sort of what the monthly churn is. The new customers are really people moving out and people moving in. Right now, it's maybe 2,500 to 3,000 new customers each month, but we do expect for that to change seasonally. Most people don't really want to move during the rainy season, but also due to the large population of students that we have within Alameda County, we'll probably see those new customer notifications spike towards the end of the semester. So on the marketing and outreach side, I wanted to give you a quick update on what we're calling our hyper-local campaign. My personal catchphrase on this is PG&E might sponsor the Warriors, but we have Ashland Little League, and we're really proud of that. And so we are finding local outlets to sponsor teams, sponsor youth sports throughout the county. There's been a couple updates since I created this slide. In Emeryville, we're now working with Emory High to do some sponsorship there of their sports teams. And in Piedmont, we are now working with the Makers Fair, which supports STEM education, and the robotics team. So things are still in flux, but we would love to have each of you come out and participate at the different events. Several of these are multi-days. If it's a league, some are just a single day. I will highlight that this Sunday we are sponsoring the Oakland Marathon, so we'll be at the press conference tomorrow. But we are hosting a mile marker cheer station, and we recently acquired a solar-powered generator, so we're going to have some music. We're also going to have Franco Finn, who is the hype man for the Warriors. He's going to be out there cheering on runners, so if anybody's running, come see Franco Finn, or just come out and hang out with us as we cheer on the runners. And as part of that, we are also providing a scholarship to another cheer team, which is a local high school, and they get that money to help support their activities at school. So in the end, though this is not a whole lot of impressions, you might recall that our enrollment campaign was about 35 million impressions. This isn't going to get us there. This is really telling a story about our involvement with the community and creating some brand awareness, but really telling a story about how we're engaged with the community. And I hope that we can continue to do this, not just in this one campaign, but on an ongoing basis.
Okay, we have a question here, Councilmember Hernandez.
Oh, sorry.
To the city of Dublin,
yes.
Pending softball. What does that mean?
So
softball is, I know.
So we actually, that was another one that's been updated. We are now working on sponsoring the Bocce League. There was some issues with the softball league. So there was an adult softball league that we were working with the rec department primarily, I believe. I can double check on the details and get back to you.
I would think that if you sponsored something more of whether it's a sports a young sports,
Yeah.
you're going to get more parents that
Yeah.
see that.
Yes, and that was our initial objective, and in some cases we weren't able to identify something that was like in the
So let's talk afterwards,
timeline.
because I
Absolutely.
know the president of soccer, and I used to be on the Double League board, so I'm.
That would be fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, and we welcome any other feedback that others
Soccer,
have.
you're looking at almost 2,000 kids.
Yeah, that would be great.
So.
And if we have ideas for this type of thing, what's the best way to do that?
You can send them to me, and I'll make sure. So our outreach fellows, Danny and Febby, have been really driving this and doing a fantastic job. So they're actually, on the phone coordinating with the rec departments, but I'll make sure that they get that information.
I was also just going to quickly mention that for Fremont, we have our Kids and Kites Festival, which gets a couple thousand people actually. So that would probably be a good place to promote that.
So we will continue to be involved in community events. This was really sort of, we tried to make it a targeted campaign in terms of sponsoring local youth sports events. I am really excited about the one in Fremont, and so we're basically funding scholarships for low-income families to then select what they would like to do, whether it's a week-long day camp in the summer or swim lessons for their children.
Again, I was wondering, because we were trying to get good opt-in or awareness for this effort. And so I was also going to ask, are you doing some ethnic media or different events maybe that would reach out? We have the Fuge Festival of India, for example, in Fremont.
We were there last year.
Yeah, huge regionally. So that's why I just wanted to make sure that you thought about some of those, because that would be tremendous for your outreach to different verticals that you normally don't reach out to.
Absolutely. So we were at the Festival of India last year, and then the Fremont Festival of the Arts, which happened to be very close in timing. Yeah, back-to-back weekends, I think, and two-day events for both of them. So we haven't really focused in yet on our summertime sort of big festival season. We've been continuing to do the Understand Your Bill. I'm excited to say we're doing another Spanish language workshop here in Hayward on the 28th, and it's going to be 1 hour in English from 5:30 to 6:30, and then the second hour, 7 to 8, with a small delay, will be in Spanish. And we've also posted a Spanish language workshop to the website, and we're still working on editing the video for the I believe it was Cantonese language at the Asian Branch Library in Oakland. So that one will also get posted, and I'll make sure everyone knows about those.
Thank you.
So then the last thing on my list is EBCE does Earth Day. So April really becomes more like Earth Month, which is a great thing, instead of Earth Year. But we're identifying, again, activities in each of the jurisdictions. We are soon to post this website, letting people know, hey, tell us about another event. We'll post it up here, and also looking for volunteers to come out and join us. But as you can see, it's anywhere as maybe early as the second week in April, even through May in some cases, as we participate in different activities across the county that are really focused on environmental issues in Earth Day. I will also add that EBCE staff, as a team activity, will be doing some tree planting in a local park in Oakland in mid-April. And with that, that's the end of the update.
So you said the solar customers have, other CCAs have a somewhat higher opt-out rate. Is that because they feel what the situation they have right now works, because they have the net metering, and therefore they don't want to change? Do we know why that's the case?
Yeah. I don't know for the other CCAs exactly why those numbers are higher. It's certainly a population of customers that pay more attention to their bill than the general population, so there might just be more awareness, uncertainty about an unknown entity. But what we are hearing from our customers is, it's unclear to them exactly how our policies support them. So we've been doing a lot of outreach to better communicate. That's why we're doing the webinars. But the one main big structural difference between our policies and PG&E is that PG&E trues up once a year, and we bill on a monthly basis. And so last month we did come to you with a revision to the NEM policy because we did find there was a very small number of edge cases where customers would in fact do better with PG&E. And so we wanted to be able to say across the board, all solar customers do as well, if not better, on the EBCE policy. So now it's just a matter of continuing to educate and spread that information to our customers.
Okay, and as far as the information we have, so just tells us we have just shy of 29,000 of these customers throughout our service territory.
Currently, yeah.
And
that number continues to grow as more people get in.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah. And so did we do a special mailing to them?
So we are just, due to the timing of things, we are doing the standard 4 notification process for this batch that's enrolling in April. We are sending out sort of an early extra notice to the remaining, 20,000 customers that will enroll throughout the rest of the year, because we know that they're hearing about us. We're already hearing from them. So we want to get that information out to them. So we're doing a special notification to the 20,000 that will be enrolled after April this year. And that's an email or direct mail.
A mail that would...
Oh, it's specific to NEM customers, yes,
okay.
as are the notifications.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, as you noticed, I had to step out, and I'm not quite sure I won't have to again, but when you were speaking and you were talking about the partnerships in the community,
yes.
Did you mention anything about partnering with the Oakland A's on anything?
I did not mention anything about the Oakland A's. We did not pursue any of the major sports leagues. They tend to be outside of our budget. We did work with Cal Athletics, or at least pursue something, but again, their sort of like minimum spend was outside of this year's current budget.
Really? I kind of think that's a bit of a mistake. I think we should maybe revisit that. Just getting something. It's a way to, on any given night, reach 2,000 to 30,000 people. So
I think
we're going to be better this year, Nick. But I think we should at least talk to them about maybe a buy, like on the screen, not naming rights or anything like that. But just some sort of on-screen buy at the 7th inning or something. And maybe do it at weekend games where the attendance is better. Which would probably make the price higher, but I think we should at least pursue it a little bit.
Yeah, I know
when we got, and if it's too expensive, come back to the board and talk to us.
That's great. Yeah, just to sort of give it a bit of context, I know when we came back to the board in January with our revised budget, we did cut down on the marketing spend because we didn't have clear visibility about what was happening with PCIA, and we've tried, I think, to thread the needle between continuing to raise awareness, but also being cautious about our spend. So hopefully, in the next fiscal year, starting July 1, hopefully by that time we're going to have more visibility on the PCIA and PG&E rates, and therefore how that impacts our rates and revenues, and then we'll be able to incorporate.
Well, it seems to me like you should start those discussions with them now. Then,
sure.
And I'm using cliches a lot today, so I would just say nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't really check it out, we're not going to know. So
I'm excited that you're.
Okay,
willing
and
to do that.
The solar customers, they're still going to save the 1.5%, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
assuming that they're enrolled in Bright Choice, which by jurisdiction that varies slightly.
Right, okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, then we're going to move on. Nick, did you have anything else? Okay, we're in the verbal. Okay. Nick says no. Okay. So we're going to move to item 11, which is the Community Advisory Committee report. Ms. Allred?
Eldred, but yes.
I know, I'm never going to get it right. You know that. I can just do Anna Olivia because I know that part.
That's good. So we did not have staff outside of Stephanie at the Community Advisory Committee meeting, so we weren't able to receive any reports. So What we do have is that Vice Chair O'Neill is having to step down, and in order to replace her, because she is moving, we will need board action on that. So she'll be stepping down after the April 1st Local Development Business Plan workshop meeting. We will be appointing a new vice chair on April 15th. And as we still have 2 of the 3 approved alternate seats that have not yet been filled, but we do have 1 alternate, the board will need to decide if they will move that person into the vacancy on the CAC. But we are actively recruiting people to apply to the CAC. We did have to cancel another meeting due to not making quorum, which was really unfortunate. So I will send you a write-up if necessary, but please reach out, put something out. I know that many of you have really fantastic newsletters that go out to your communities. Please spread the word about the CAC, especially in those districts that don't have high representation currently. And we love your assistance in finding really great people to help fill this.
Is that it? Any questions? Director,
what areas of the county need more representation on the CAC? Did you mean topic areas?
Geographic diversity is definitely one of the areas that we strive to achieve. I know that, actually, Brenda moved. We can send out a list of where everyone is currently living, because we have some motion of people inside the CAC who had to move for work and things. I know that we definitely need more representation from Tri-County area, like badly. And actually like Dublin and like all, like just we need you. Come on, we need you guys. And like currently I think that we have Oakland, 1 person in Hayward, 1 person in Fremont. I'm looking at the jurisdictions up there. There's a list of jurisdictions up there. But we don't have fantastic geographic diversity right now. I'd love to see someone from Union City. I'd love to, all those things. We are keeping our meetings centrally located so that they are accessible to all members of our county, and they don't have to travel far away to get there. But you know, there's perspective, there's geographic diversity, there's history, skill sets, there's all kinds of things. So please help spread the word on that.
any other questions? Item 12, EBCE office lease.
Stephanie, can you pull up the presentation? Okay, so at our January 16th meeting, we brought an item forward to take input and then take action and then delegate to the executive committee to execute an office lease for a site at 1212 Broadway. One of the issues that was raised during the discussion was what is the status of the seismic retrofit of 1212? 1212 is quite an old building. It was built before the 1906 earthquake. And so in response to that, we pulled the seismic report and we engaged with an engineering firm to review it. That review found that while the building had no fundamental seismic flaws, it had not been seismically retrofitted. And so we took the feedback from the board as being, you know, a strong preference towards a building that has either been retrofitted or built much more recently, so to building standards that, you know, can withstand a large earthquake and ensure that we can maintain business continuity if there were to be an earthquake. So in light of that, we shifted our focus to look for office space in newer office buildings, really buildings that were built kind of in the 1990s or thereafter, when they really been built up to the current codes. Through that search, we identified 1999 Harrison Street. That is a building. Right. No, I did the wrong. Okay, there we go. There we go. 1999 Harrison Street. It is right at the corner of Berkeley Way and Webster Street in downtown Oakland, right across the street from the large Kaiser building, right next to the Nurses Association building. And so this building has accessible parking. So, when we have folks visit, it's walking distance to a BART station. This, like 1212 Broadway, is a sublease. This is a 3-year sublease. We prioritize a sublease because we recognize that our organization is growing, our needs are going to be changing over time. So we wanted to identify a space that would give us flexibility to reassess exactly where our headquarters and where our offices should be as the organization grows. So in this case, we felt like a 3-year sublease really checked that box. From a cost standpoint, it was largely in line with the costs that we saw at 1212 Broadway, roughly $4.05 a square foot, which is actually quite good given the current circumstances in downtown Oakland, or really in any kind of newer Class A type office building. So with that, the suite we're looking at is Suite 810. And Suite 810 can support somewhere between 40 and 50 employees. Comfortably, which from my perspective is really in line with sort of organizational growth during that three-year term. So I think we feel very comfortable about it being able to support our organizational needs. Proximity to BART makes it very much accessible for staff who are commuting to work, but also accessible for members of the community. One of the things that we were looking for is a lobby that is more sort of accessible for walk-ins. We have somewhere between 3 to 5 customers who come by the office every day to ask questions about their bill. So this office has a lobby that really is conducive to customers coming in. We don't have to have the door. The door can be open because on either side of the lobby there are key-carded doors, so the staff can be back in their offices. But members of the public can come in. You can have a receptionist or an iPad system where they can sign in. Then someone will know they're there. They can come out and move into one of the 2 conference rooms where they can talk to the customer about their questions. So it creates a nice sense of accessibility while also being very secure for staff. So there's not the ability for a member of the public just to walk in and walk back to where staff work. There's that security between where people sit and where members, anyone can just walk in. So that was something that I felt was important as well. Here are some pictures. This is the front desk waiting area, as I described. That is one of the conference rooms. There are 3 conference rooms in the office space. It's a mix of private office and open office space. And here are examples of both. And there's a break room, there's a file copy room, and that's sort of it. Pretty standard, nothing too fancy office space, very functional. It is right next to Lake Merritt, so it's that nice sense of being able to walk out of the office and take a walk around the lake, which I think will be nice for for the health and wellness of the EBC employees. So with that, the key terms are, as I said, roughly slightly over a 3-year lease. The term of the lease would start, upon execution, and it would run through the end of October of 2022. The lease payment terms are included in the memo, and they start around $34,000, and they grow by roughly 2% a year, up to $37,000 a month. There's a $41,000 security deposit. Other than that, because it's a sublease, the terms are pretty standard. reviewed the sublease agreement, and we found that the terms in the sublease and the master lease are all agreeable to us. So the recommendation is to authorize me to go and finalize negotiations and execute this lease agreement for this office space.
Questions? Olivia.
There's only one feedback that came up the last time this item was, which is that the third point is that there's a large enough conference room to host community advisory committee, executive committee, and subcommittee meetings, and there was a strong request that many of those meetings remain centrally located, not that it is required that they're hosted there, but just to reiterate that comment. And then something that came up in the last meeting around 30 to 40 employees. So when we look at bringing, like onboarding the call center staff, which we should be in line to start doing in the next year to 2 years, is there just start doing in the next year to 2 years?
So I think this site could support a small customer service center. I think that it would not support a large customer service center. But part of the rationale for shorter-term leases, as we think about the evolution of our customer service functions, we have to sort of think about the right kind of office space. The location of the office space as well is going to be important as we think about wanting to attract the right talent for customer service jobs. So the answer is not really a large call center, but that's probably okay. The answer is not really a large call center, but that's probably okay.
Thank you. I'm assuming it's fully accessible for people with disabilities?
Yes, it is. And that's also, I think, with a new building, you're getting a fully ADA compliant space. That's also, I think, with a new building, you're getting a fully ADA compliant.
I do have a question in terms of, if I can, distance to BART. Since our meetings are at night, if we were to take BART, I'm not that familiar with that area. How far a walk is that?
So I think, first of all, I think our committee member meetings, if I understand it correctly, will still be here. Our full board meeting will still be here. The committee meetings, which are earlier in the afternoons or, not too late at night, may be held up there. That's to be discussed, I guess. So I don't know that unless we're up there doing business during the day as board members, I don't think we'll see it a whole lot. I don't perceive us to be there at night.
Okay. But I think it's a great location anyhow with all the amenities that are there.
Was that a motion?
That is a motion.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I got a second from Hernandez. Is there any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Thank you. Item 13, which is the second amendment to... What? Did I go too fast?
That's great.
Okay. Item 13.
Okay.
Making an amendment to the restated administrative procurement policy.
So the current administrative procurement policy does not grant authority to any level of EBCE staff to sign off on release of liability. So as we submit applications to participate at various events, it often asks for the vendor to release liability, and that is not something that we want to have to bring back to the board each time for approval. So we are therefore requesting that there's an amendment to the policy to authorize staff at the director level and above to sign off on release of liability, and this would continue to require the review and approval of general counsel before signing.
So if we did that, we released somebody else of our liability, and our insurance is still in place, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and this is only for like special events, things like that?
That is the scenario which has come up
liability
today.
to a major contract?
No.
Okay.
One note is that this does require that the general counsel review the release, so it's not just releasing reliability willy-nilly. I think the best example is the Alameda County Fair. To have a table there or to participate, we have to sign a release.
Sponsor the power station.
Power station.
Thank you. Yes. So Inder's team has, in fact, looked at that agreement, and so they approved the content of the agreement. And if this passes tonight, I'll be able to sign that and get that contract moving.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion called. Second, Mandel. Is there any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Item 14.
Okay, item 14 is an informational item to update the board on recent rate modifications. So on February 15th, PG&E informed the California Public Utilities Commission of rate changes that would become effective on March 1. This was through an advice letter that basically, should the PUC not respond, just goes into effect. So it was not something that we had initially been anticipating. It bifurcated the rate setting process. So it changed components of their delivery charges, but also some components of their generation charges. So because it did impact the PG&E generation charges in some cases, EBCE staff modified our rates to maintain the value proposition as approved by the board. Our billing systems and our online rate sheet have been updated, and this type of modification to maintain the value proposition was approved by the board in an action in September of 2018. We do anticipate additional rate changes probably in July. That timeline is still to be determined, but best guess right now is July. And we will again modify rates to maintain the EBCE stated value proposition. The overall impact of the two rate modifications is expected to be a decrease in customer rates. And we will come back at that time and report out again with the second modification, but any sort of change in the value proposition would be brought to the board for approval at a later date.
Anybody? Questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
So, moving to board member and staff announcements. Before you have the committees that have been figured out, marketing, regulatory, and legislative matters. Nick Hill, Trish Monroe, Dan Colvin, and Tim Rood. And then under Finance Administration and Procurement, Lily May, Al Mendel, Ed Hernandez, Carol Ducci-Bernacci. And then the Executive Committee will remain the same. Is there any problem with these as they're laid out? Everybody's happy. I'm assuming everybody got what they asked, except for I think one. So, and then I guess Ms. Hernandez, we're still waiting on a response from you. Do you want to pick a committee now and end the pain? You'd like to go to marketing? Is that a problem? No. Okay, she's on marketing. That ended that painful thing. Okay, so is there any other comments? Go ahead, Mr. Rood, and then Carol.
Are these committees subject to a quorum requirement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Good.
And Grant.
Yep.
Right. And you know, look, in my opinion, I know that the staff wants these more towards or during the day. And I know people like Mr. Rood has problems doing that. And so I would hope that if you do have a day meeting, that is something that can accommodate the board member. But I really want to leave this to the committees to discuss, to figure out when they want to meet. Only thing that I would ask is that you do it on a regular basis. So if you pick the second Wednesday of, well, let me use anything other than Wednesday, the second Friday or Thursday of every month, that you try to hold to that as opposed to bouncing all over the place. But Mr. Mendel, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just one question. So typically, I know in the city of Hayward, when we form subcommittees, we make sure that it's less than a quorum of the governing body.
Right.
And so I noticed that with Ms. Hernandez choosing the marketing committee, that would put 7 members of the board there, which is a
How's that 7?
All right, Mike.
That'd be 5.
It's the name from the bottom.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there's
So it's Pilch, Monroe,
not the X's. Okay, all right.
and Rude.
I misunderstood. Sorry.
And Hernandez. Which staff committee is the same makeup as the executive committee as far as the amount of people?
Yep.
Okay.
My mistake.
What?
My mistake. I misread the table.
Just wanted to hear it twice. All right. All right, so those are your committee members. I'd ask staff that they start working with the committees to pull together times and get them up and running. That would be great. And are there any, Carol, did you have a comment?
Well, I think you pretty much covered it because I was wondering about the frequency of meetings and the time of day. So as you said, it's going to pretty much be decided by the committee members.
Okay, yeah. And I would like to, the committee, I mean, you can always say we're going to meet once a month, but if there's no business, just go ahead and cancel it. That's fine. Anybody else? Anna Olivia, why?
Well, as an ex officio member of the board, I believe I'm entitled to do all things except vote and sit in closed session. And so I did respond and requested said I would be happy to perform on either body. So I'm just curious as to not, if I'm reading this correctly, and the X next to my name means that I'm not on the committees.
So, I don't know the answer to that question, but let me find out. Does the bylaws allow us to appoint Anna Olivia to a committee?
I will have to go back and review the joint powers agreement, but my understanding is that she wouldn't be a voting member of the committee.
She would?
She would not.
She would not. Okay. You could be a thorn in the side. I understand that. So, I guess what I would say is if you can opine that Anna Olivia can serve on a committee but not vote, then I would say send her to Finance, Administration, and Procurement. Okay? Okay, I just like to see you smile. All right, so with that, is there anybody else? Well, guess what?
So, I wanted to announce that we are canceling the executive committee meeting this month.
Good. Okay, with that, everybody go. Go away.